that it was inflammatory on purpose. I already knew that. I said, you know what they're doing? They're trying to draw me in so I can read it. And it worked. So I just want to read a little excerpt that I'm going to turn over. It says here, in my humble opinion, happy husbands and happy wives come from marriage where the hard work of nurtured intimacy is a foundational tenet. Not because we all want more hard work in our lives, but because hard work leads to profound richness. When there is a sexual void and or betrayal within a marriage, when it is a point of contention and heartache, regardless of the circumstances, it becomes a noticeable thorn and fracture within what is supposed to be the most sacred of human relationships. And so we went on to say, it becomes a noticeable salve and a bonding agent when we do become emotionally intimate that even the enemy himself cannot breach. I'm going to say that once again. When we become emotionally open to one another, it becomes a noticeable salve and bonding agent that even the enemy himself cannot breach. And so what we want to do tonight is we have provided everyone in here, we believe, are we missing a few people that are...
Ask them to raise the hand.
All right, who all needs a copy?
If you didn't get a copy of the handout.
Okay, what we want to make sure that we do, everybody who has a copy, does your partner have a copy? Okay, good. We're going to start right there then. We're going to start right there. We're going to continue to move. Yeah, we'll still give everybody, we're going to go ahead and start right there with everybody who has their partner has a copy. We're going to introduce this and we're going to run through it rather quickly. All right? We need you all to be honest. So the reason I ask you all to step over here and step over there, because I know how we get when we filling out information about emotional needs and things like that. You get to looking over her shoulder to see what she writing down, and she looking over your shoulder to see what you writing down. We need you to write down and be open and honest. Because when we start talking about you being emotionally naked, that means that you're going to have to be vulnerable in more ways than just being physically naked in front of your spouse.
That's right.
The vulnerability is deeper than what you can see. Okay, that emotional outlet that so many women need. I think that I read somewhere that women have about 25,000 words and men have about 6,000. So you use all your words up, and then she come home and want to use the rest of her word, and you don't have time to listen. That's a lot of words, but that is true. And so we want to work through that tonight. So let's go ahead and get you into that first part of the packet. We're going to introduce it, and then we're going to help you fill it out individually.
Okay, so what I'll do, just because we still have a couple of people in here that do not have the Emotional Needs Questionnaire, is I'll go ahead and introduce it. And as we start to go through the first section, each one is exactly the same. It's just a different emotional need inserted. So if you can just remember that when you get your paper, that would be helpful. So as we introduce it, this questionnaire is designed to help you determine your most important emotional needs and evaluate your spouse's effectiveness in meeting those needs. Answer all the questions as candidly as possible. Do not try to minimize any needs that you feel have been unmet. If your answers require more space, use and attach a separate sheet of paper. You won't have time for all that tonight, but if you want to take this home, we can certainly have homework. And the Petways can follow up with you next week.
All right.
Your spouse should complete a separate form. That's why I think my husband intended to give you one per couple, which is what we do with some of our questionnaires, but with this one, you really need both. So sorry about that, but we'll get it to you as quickly as we can. When you have completed this questionnaire, go through it a second time to be certain your answers accurately reflect your feelings. I'm going to ask you not to do that. We're going to move through it pretty quickly. I want you to give me your gut response because that's probably your most accurate response. Do not erase your original answers, but cross them out lightly so that your spouse can see the corrections and discuss them with you. The final page of this questionnaire asks you to identify and rank 5 of the 10 needs in order of importance to you. The most important emotional needs are those that give you the most pleasure when met and frustrate you when unmet. Resist the temptation to identify as most important only those needs that your spouse is not presently meeting. Include all your emotional needs in your consideration of those that are most important. So does everyone have one now?
We need
We're
one
still
right up here.
missing?
Okay.
How many questions?
Hands okay.
Are we just missing first lady now? That's it? Okay, all right. So let's move through. As I mentioned, there are 10 emotional needs. We're going to walk through them together. I'll explain to you how to complete the first one, and then after the first, second, or third, you'll have it down, and we'll kind of run through them. So the very first emotional need that we're going to discuss is affection, okay? Affection is just what's in parentheses, the expression of love in words, cards, gifts, hugs, kisses, and courtesies, creating an environment that clearly and repeatedly expresses love. What this is not is sex. So do not confuse the two, okay? Sexual intimacy has its own section. So here we're talking about affection. It could be whatever it is to you. Those are just some examples. It could be walking through the park. It could be whatever affection is to you, okay? So need for affection. This is your need for affection on letter A. Indicate how much you need affection by circling the appropriate number. Far left, 0, I have no need for affection. Now this is not what your spouse is doing for you currently. This is your need. I have no need for affection, then you're going to be closer to 0. I have a moderate need for affection. You're somewhere in the middle. And if you have a great need for affection, then you're closer to number 6, moving to the right. So I want you to answer that. We'll give you what? 30 seconds. All right. Thad pulled it up on his phone just so we can get First Lady her copy. All right. Now that you've answered that one, how often would you like to receive affection? Okay. Write that number in. How many times per day, per week, or per month would you like to receive affection? Underneath there, when you receive affection, that often, how do you feel? So the answer that you put in that blank, when you receive affection that often, whatever it is, days, weeks, months, how does that make you feel? Circle the appropriate letter. And on the opposite, you don't see that one? It should be right underneath.
Go ahead. We'll walk around.
Yeah, right here. Okay?
Is everybody filing everything?
Okay. If you are not, I'm sorry, I left that word out. If you are not shown affection, that changes it up a good bit, doesn't it? If you are not shown affection by your spouse, as often as, I'm trying to read on Thad's phone, I'm sorry. If you are not shown affection by your spouse as often as you indicated above in the blank, how does it make you feel? Okay, we're good on that one now? Now, letter B says, evaluation of your spouse's affection. Indicate your satisfaction with your spouse's affection towards you by circling the appropriate letter. Very similar to the first one. Over to the left, your spouse gets a -3, or somewhere in that neighborhood if you are extremely dissatisfied with the affection that you're currently getting from your spouse. Okay? Be honest.
Be honest.
Be completely honest here. We're getting naked before each other. Now remember that. In the middle, I am neither satisfied nor dissatisfied. And over to the right, I am extremely satisfied. Okay? Somebody singing hallelujah on there. My spouse gives me, circle the appropriate letter, A, all the affection I need, and I like the way he or she does it. That's letter A. Letter B, not enough affection. But when he or she does it, it's the way I like it. Letter C, all the affection I need, but it is not the way I like it. Letter D, not enough affection, and when he or she tries, it is not the way I like it. Okay? And then you got a quick minute to explain it on the bottom. Now, the first one I went through with you rather slowly to make sure you understood all the parts. I won't walk through it on the others. I'm just going to go to number 2 and move through it and allow you to fill in the blanks. I just want to make sure there were no, are there any questions at this point? Does everybody understand what we're doing here? Okay. All right, so let's move on to number 2.
That'll finish up.
Oh,
B.
do the explanation.
People down on.
People are doing
People
it.
finishing up B. Yeah, I'm just walking by and listening.
Okay.
Yeah.
It would be helpful to your spouse if there's something that you would like to put there. It offers the why.
Now, what you are doing, simply put, is you're being strategic in the way that you approach things. I think that what normally happens in our relationships is that we come in with what it is that we like and how we like things. And then our assumption is that they like it the same way that we do. And that's never right. And so what I found out is that it's simple. It really does correlate with varied love languages. That's a whole nother lesson, but let me just give you a quick excerpt. My particular love language is physical touch, which that hits a lot of men of those 5 love languages that we talked about, physical touch. That's not my wife's core. We all experience all 5, but her number 1 language is service, acts of service. So she likes it when I do stuff. Like if I get in the kitchen, when she in the kitchen. Or if I pick up something in the house and start cleaning or wiping things down. Or if I just run errands where she don't have to get out the bed and go anywhere. Do things for her. That does a whole lot more for her than for her looking for physical touch. So what happens is, by her knowing that mine is physical touch and me knowing hers is acts of service, then I will wear out some acts of service. Because I know that the physical touch is right around the corner. Are you understanding what I'm saying? But see, what most of us do is we fall in love with our language, and we make an assumption that you're speaking the same language. But it's just like when I'm in the classroom and I have one of my kids who is from El Salvador, because there's a lot of kids coming from all over now who don't speak any English. And I'm talking to him, and then I get mad and frustrated because he doesn't know, he's not doing what I asked him to do. He won't turn the page. He don't know what I'm saying to him. And that level of emotional frustration happens in your marriage because you're thinking that she ought to understand this, and she's looking at you like, I don't even know what you're talking about. So you have to be bilingual in your emotional response to your spouse.
Amen.
And you know you love them enough to put in the work to learn that language. And you need to be fluent in it. And I guarantee you, the more fluent you become in your spouse's love language, you will be up here teaching this class. I'm trying to tell you with your own examples, and you'll probably take it to the next level.
Amen.
The idea is for you to actually have a breakthrough and know that, you know what, I didn't know that you didn't like it like that. I thought that maybe we both would know. I do, but that's not my number 1. It may be in my top 5, but it's maybe my 5th one, and it's your number 1. So we want to help you get there. Did that help everybody finish up 1A and B? So we'll accelerate through the next few phases. So we're going on to 2.
Very good. Does anybody need any more time for the first one? Because I think the others will go quicker. No? All right. Good deal. All right. Number 2 is, now here is where we want to discuss sexual fulfillment. Please be real, women and men of God. Okay? Same thing. Need for sexual fulfillment in A. Rank that. Give you a second to do that. And you know the rest. How often would you like your spouse to engage? How many times per day, week, or month? If your spouse does not engage in sexual relations with you as often as you indicated above, how does it make you feel?
Feel like I'm ACT room.
I'm sitting here like, is anybody gonna look up? All right.
We
Need a little bit more time on
about
this.
to get certified. So they can write with freedom. Everybody got that freedom. That pen is flowing now. I see it. They turn the page. I see it. We get them off from around your shoulder, peeking around, you're trying to hide your paper. You can't write with that same level of freedom. Okay, we got about 31 seconds.
I don't see any eyes. Okay, start with 69. All right. Yeah, but Thad, I think our next session might have to be on this one, but.
No, they gonna be good. They going to work now.
Letter B, evaluation of what?
Savannah, she taking too long.
She filling out all the blanks. Running out of ink. Amen. That's all right.
Letter B, evaluation of sexual relations with your spouse. Indicate your satisfaction. Okay? Same thing. To the left, I'm extremely dissatisfied. We're moving over to the far right. I'm extremely satisfied. Okay, good. My spouse gives me A, all that I need and I like it, just the way he or she does it. B, not enough sex, but when he or she does it, it's the way I like it. C, all the sex I need, but it is not the way I like it. D, not enough sex, and when we do have sex, it is not the way I like it. And then give some explanation down. I feel like there's some explanation on this.